rolling.
Am I mic'd?
Okay, we are rolling. You have to boom mic.
Boom.
Oh, okay. Boom.
Boom.
And speed here. 2, 1.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
I just need to just bask in it for a second. This movie is brilliant.
Thank you.
First of all, who came up with the concept of the artwork?
It was like a joint effort.
Yeah.
There's a A24 and whatever the sort of marketing department was. They had like 80 different concepts, and this was one of the ones that we all kind of liked.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's striking, and the casting is just so brilliant. The way that all of the actors kind of like meld into each one.
Yeah, the cool thing and what I like about the artwork is when I was casting them, I wasn't worried about them looking like each other so much, but I was trying to find people who kind of had the same feeling in their eyes. So I love because in the artwork,
right.
all,
and it's
all
right
the eyes
there.
kind of blend. Yeah.
It's amazing. So I saw the film, I guess, about 2 weeks ago now,
Okay.
and I saw it like right after birth.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. It's just. Have you seen Birth yet?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a moment in there where he says there are generations waiting for us, and so then when I'm sitting watching Moonlight, I'm like, yep, and there he is.
Oh, word,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
When it just is so. You
Yeah.
are the evolution of what they've done. Do you know what I'm saying? That you can now be here and tell this story.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I know that you and Terrell, you all weren't friends.
No,
You didn't even know each other.
No, we grew up. I grew up in the village. He grew up like right by the village. We both went to Holmes Elementary. I ended up going to the West. He went to New World, but we should have known each other. But no, I mean, I imagine we met, but we never really knew each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But your stories are like so simple. Did you feel like it was like kismet or something?
You know, I did, but at first I didn't want to believe it. You know,
Yeah.
when I first read it, I was like, this doesn't make any sense because he knows too much. You know.
Right.
But then when I came back to it, I was like, well, he knows so much for a reason. You know, just because our lives are so similar.
And I was going to say, and could that be that life is just a story that has not been told, that there are many, because when I saw the film, I was like, oh, I know all these brothers, and I know a lot of blacks. You know what I'm saying? But they are not, they're not in that space that, you know, black is in.
Yeah. By the way, I feel like we got to clarify because it's like I know a lot of blacks. It's like the character named Black.
Yeah, that too. I do know a lot of black people.
I was like,
Chiron's character when he becomes. Yeah.
See, it's early, but I'm working.
Okay. Yes.
All black news outlet.
Right. Chiron's character, as he becomes black.
Yeah.
I know a lot of gentlemen that are very similar to Chiron as black. And you know, it's funny because I've spoken to several of them about seeing the film, and a lot of them just are not ready yet.
Of course. Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm like, well, listen, if you got to go to West Palm or Delray or somewhere to go see the movie, you know, and I think it's to avoid running into other people that they know at the film.
Yeah.
And that, you know, my hope is that the film gives them that space.
Well, exactly. Well, I think the way I've kind of been thinking of it is, you know, we keep saying, you know, people don't see themselves represented often, you know, and because you don't see it, you kind of don't know what to do with it. You know, it's like when you see anything for the first time. But I think once you get cross that first hurdle, you know, I think it could be something that, you know, is very opening and powerful for people.
So, one of the things in the marketing of the film that, I don't know, it could be me, but it is, I've seen several of the reviews are, you know, it is a black coming of age story. And to me, it is a coming of age story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but at the same time, I feel like because Terrell and I are both these black boys from this very black neighborhood, you know, that grew up at, to me, this very black time culturally from Miami. It's just, it's in everything. So I don't mind when it's referred that way, but my experience of going to festivals with it has been exactly what you're saying, that it is just a universal coming of age story, you know. But I think it's because we made it so damn black. It's kind of what makes it universal.
I mean, I think that's what it is, and that's one of the joys of watching the film. It's like, it's a story. You're just telling me a story. There's nothing like it could have been Juan, you know, from a poor section of Little Havana.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It could have been Jason,
Yeah.
you know, from a poor section of, do you know what I'm saying? And I just love, that's what just resonated so deeply.
Yeah.
That it's one of the first films that I can think of that really the story just, you just are able to be in this beautiful story that is not heavy-handed, that's just really like, this is our lives, you know, and you get to see how we played it out, you know? Yeah. So now I think if, you know, whenever you see something, you resonate with somebody. I really resonated with your character.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just thought that there's something so special about him, and there's so many people in that space that people don't really know what to do with you. You know that they're different and special some way, but you know, I'd rather make fun of him than be his friend.
And
Yeah.
embrace it. I feel like people, anytime they see anything different, then they want to dim that light instead of, like you said, embrace that. And that middle section is a section that a lot of young people can relate to, especially right now, and even being in your 20s, like we're always struggling to like find ourselves or like, who am I? Like be in that headspace. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think his experience in being in the inner city made it more difficult?
I definitely do. I feel like he didn't have an outlet to really like be himself, and he was stuck in an environment that belittled him. So I felt like that had a lot to do with Chiron's like coming up in his experience. For sure. Yeah.
I kind of thought that too, because I thought if he had been someplace else, he would have been maybe Dennis Rodman.
I mean, but who knows? Who knows?
You know what I'm saying? I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
not in the
word.
whole dress
Yeah,
thing.
for sure. Straight
But
up.
I'm saying,
Straight up.
you know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
part of him, because he was that kind of odd guy,
Yeah.
but he was in a place where there were enough people that embraced it
Word.
that he could excel.
That's
you know?
interesting.
Yeah. And you know, I just fell in love with Black. I mean, Chiron as Black.
No, I think we got it now. I think we got it now.
No, I just fell in love with the subtlety of him and just how soft you played him. You know, and there's just so many levels of emotion that happened with him. How did you embody him?
I mean, it was just kind of understanding that this person was someone who was so beautifully tormented and so incredibly insecure about himself. And I mean, everyone obviously has that at some point in time. And I think, just to kind of touch on what you said before about guys who, I guess, aren't ready to see the film, is because they're insecure. You know what I mean? That's all that is. It's the insecurity.
Yeah.
You got to understand that you have to embrace yourself and know who you are in order to put yourself in the headspace to receive something like this. And until you can do that, then, you know what I mean? So in doing this, it really opened my mind up, my interpretation, my kind of like understanding of what it is to be me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I was fortunate enough to have that experience while doing it with these amazing people. So I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just like, I want to say to those guys your friends who are kind of insecure about it, it's okay, bro.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah, because there's something so beautiful about how he embraces his vulnerability.
Yeah.
That, you know, it makes you kind of... Last night, I had a show. I have been up since yesterday sometime. But last night on the show, I did Young Black and In the Pulpit. And the young ministers, you know, talking about how if you can't lead unless you're able to show your brokenness.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, ooh, that's going to work well, you know, today, because that's exactly what that is, you know, and how do you develop that vulnerability to be able to go there, you know, because that's when, like you said, that's when your fullness of who you're supposed to be, you know, comes out. And you've done that in writing this and directing this piece. Well, you directed it.
Yeah, well, I wrote the screenplay adapted from Terrell's play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a family affair.
How did you get to that place of vulnerability?
You know, it took a little bit of work. 'Cause like I said, when I first read it, I kind of resisted it. You know, I wasn't sure if I was the right person to do this, and I wasn't sure if the timing was right. You know, and so I talked to Terrell over the course of about 6 months, And I think we kind of got on the same page, and I understood that he trusted me, you know, with the material. And at that point, I felt like, you know, I'd made the decision that, okay, I'm going to push past this, whatever this doubt is, and just throw myself fully into it, you know. And so the first draft I wrote in 10 days because it just came out of me. I mean, it was just like, this is happening.
See, and I think that's what it
genius.
is. Right. When I interviewed Nate Parker, he said I've interviewed him doing Beyond the Lights, and he was in the process of that, and it took him 27 days because he was like, it was already in his head. It was